awesome sauce.
We should be back.
It'll just flash probably. It came up for me.
Great. I think we're good.
It came up for me.
Nice.
Okay. So, checklist. I need my sounders. You need to turn yours off.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
All sounders to make sure, because you were hosting rank win. So
let's get rid of this stuff. Jules is a little quiet in stream. I'll take care of it. Thank you, Dark Monkey.
Yeah, and I needed to move that up too, so it was closer. And this needs to turn on, and I need my sounders.
Actually, I have you at max, which is kind of interesting. Oh, you know what? No, I can turn the desktop volume up. I can do that. All right, I'll turn desktop volume up a little bit here. Testing, testing. Jules, RPG.
Hello, my name is Jules Scott, and this is the Jules and Coffee Hour.
I feel like that was pretty good, right?
Uh-huh.
It sounded good to me. I don't know about you guys. Was that better on the volume front?
Volume good. On my end, it's good because I've got you rebalanced on this end. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me just... Sounds better, says Jay McGee. Okay.
Okay, so let's make sure you can hear this coffee.
This podcast is a production of HeroesHearth Entertainment.
Yes.
Check out all of our other shows at HeroesHearth.com. Welcome, Hearthlings.
Hell yeah, that sounded great.
Awesome.
Cool. Let me find my little spreadsheet real fast.
Okie dokie. I am actually gonna drop these rows out.
Where's my spreadsheet? The hell.
I can link it to you real quick if you need me to.
Yeah, do you mind just linking it to me real fast? I'll bookmark it.
Yeah, just a second.
Who was that sexy voice, says Atria. You telling me?
Hello there. Hello there. That is my recording. I did that. There you go.
I've been in Blizzard Q for like 20 minutes now, says Grimshaw. Jeez.
Oh, everything's so broken. I feel bad. Cut. No, I want these to go away.
Let me exit the game, by the way.
Yeah. Delete rows.
Perfect, and then I'll bring up our little spreadsheet right here.
You guys get to see the little like things that we're doing beforehand.
That's what the pre-show is all about.
Yeah, I was so I got the green screen set up, I got the lighting set up, I did all that, and I was like, I ate, and then the cat was like, "Oh, Mom, you're sitting down for a few minutes. Let's cuddle." And so I'm like, shoot. So hopefully all the cat hair is not showing up on the podcast.
Oh no, something happened
feed.
to your camera. It got like weird.
What?
Your camera, like, I can see it, the transparency a little bit. Let me adjust it. A second. I just need to adjust the filter slightly.
Oh, you know what? Hang on. I know what I can do. I need to turn off something, I think.
Doesn't Coffee feel awfully warm, like on fire with the fire camp thing next to him, or is Coffee naturally that hot?
No, it didn't.
I run a little warm. I typically run a little warm.
I didn't change anything.
Okay, I'm going to change it right now. I'm just going to adjust the similarity slightly.
So, chat room, I biffed it a little bit this weekend because I had to travel for work. And so I was gone all weekend, got home at like 1 o'clock this morning, actually. And so I didn't give a lot of reminders out for you guys submitting stuff for the topic. So you guys can really be a big part of this. And you can submit stuff in the chat room as we're talking, because I think that will really be great. So, yeah. So now the chair is flickering.
Is it?
I don't think so.
Looks good on my end.
Oh, is it like up by my it's up by this side. I can see it. It's up by that side.
It's like your hand. Wait, put your hand down real fast. Move your head around.
Yeah, like, so you can see it like on the, I guess I see it on the stream when I move back.
Okay, I'll check it out. Sec.
Yeah, it's like, it's just that one spot.
Turn the similarity down just a touch.
I can't see it on the preview, but I have to drop that to the big.
That should be better. Should be better.
Yes. It is better. Yep, it's better.
Okay. Nice. Okay, and I've got the spreadsheet up right here.
Yes. Do you guys love Coffee's new microphone sound? It is so buttery. It's like we're putting butter in the coffee now.
I was so nervous about it because like I wanted everything to be perfect, but I knew I like definitely wanted to take it for a test drive today.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. All right.
Yeah. Yes, I've got the
technical
spreadsheet
stuff.
up.
I think is set. I think we're in good shape there. So let's give the chat room a little bit of startup here. You guys are being ready checked. Let us know with a 1 in chat if you are ready for poll.
Ooh, I like. Nice. I'll type 1.
Please type 1 in chat.
Burner.
See a lot of new faces in here too. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
I think a lot of these faces are from Rank Win or.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm gonna do a quick tweet from the HeroesHearth account.
Do it.
Podcast.
2, not ready. Need buff. Need food buff. We'll drop a feast.
Starting.
We'll drop a feast for you. Gotta need the food buff. Take your flasks right now.
Twitch.tv/coffee_club_TV. Our topic this week: what makes you different? Add images, grab album art, paste in, tweet. This is the best. It's just the best.
It's the best.
You're the best around.
Nothing's gonna ever keep you down.
Thank you. Coffee and I on karaoke one day. It's gonna be.
It's gonna happen. We gotta record it.
It's gonna be serious. Oh God. Yes.
You're the best around. That's your part.
All right, you guys are buffed and ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna start my recording on my end.
Okay.
Record local. So we get audio capture on this. Let's make sure my CPU doesn't go bonkers.
Yeah, so far it's running way smoother than it ran last week too. I was having some issues last week.
Yeah, my CPU got a little bonkers. I don't know, but it seems to be good.
She left me hanging, ZF Boss.
What did I leave you hanging? What did I do? Start again.
You're the best around.
Nothing's gonna ever keep
you down. You're the best. Perfect, we got it. Nailed it. We're good.
Nailed it. All right.
Oh, we nailed it.
Yeah, chat room looks like they're ready to go.
Yep, let's do it.
You're ready to go, so I'm ready to go. Episode 3 of the Jules and Coffee Hour. We'll be recording in a moment as I put my screens back to where they need to be. In 3. Oh, you want to change the overlay?
I want to change the overlay, and I also want to mute Hangouts real fast.
Okay. All right. The Jules and Coffee Hour, episode 3, records in 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to the Jules and Coffee Hour, sharing the stories of Blizzard gamers around the world. Pull up a chair. We're glad you're here.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Jules and Coffee Hour. I am Jules.
And I'm Coffee, and I'm testing out a brand new microphone.
And not just any microphone, ladies and gentlemen. This is a podcast-ready, podcaster not exclusive, but extreme. He's like leveled up.
Yes!
To, it's amazing. Like ding. I need a ding sound on my soundboard.
But
it is an amazing thing to see someone get a new microphone for the first time. That is like, this thing is can we say thick? A little beefy? Is that where we
It's
can go?
thick.
Damn, I just got a little bit of shiver there.
Woo!
I'm not gonna lie.
Boom.
There may be some panties dropping in that chat room, but we're not gonna talk about that. I mean, we're not gonna get lewd on this chat. Maybe we'll get a little lewd on this podcast. It's a lewd podcast. Someday, we don't know.
This took a turn. That was quick.
This is the joy of doing this show, is you can take it anywhere you want. And that is exactly what we're about to do today. Coffee, we had an excellent discussion last week, and I will tell you this. So I had to jet off really fast and back home again to Atlanta this weekend. And so I was up stupid early for my flight on Saturday, and I had to come home stupid late last night. So what did I do? I listened to episode 2 of this show in the car, just to keep me going and keep me up and, kind of moving forward. And I was enjoying listening to my own content, which is always a good thing.
That's the best thing. I did the same exact thing, and for me, it was my first time listening to it with just headphones in. Because I typically watch the VOD because that's just what I'm trained to do. But as I transition, more and more over to this podcast beast, I'm realizing just how pure the headphones in the ear can sound, how different it makes everything. And I'm starting to appreciate so many different aspects of this art, and it's blowing my mind. So having a lot of fun with that.
It's one of my most favorite things to do in life, just because you can create pictures with your voice, and that part to me it's a skill, it's a talent, it's something that is just so much fun. And the stories that we were telling last week, I was getting into them again, and I already had heard them. So I am so happy with the topic that we're about to take on again this week, which is we're again going outside the gaming universe. But again, it all loops back to the same place. It always does.
Right.
It's just about the core of us being gamers and the things that make us who we are. So in this episode, we are going to talk about the things that make us feel different from other people. Maybe a little isolated, like we feel like we're the only ones that are like this, or that we feel this way. One of the things that I've learned in the years of doing podcasting is that this is a vehicle. It's a vehicle to connect with people in a way that can often make them feel like they're not alone, like they're not alone in this space, and that there are other people out there that may even feel the same way as you. So that is what we are talking about, the stuff that makes us different. When someone finds out about you and says, wow, that's different.
Right. Could be a good thing or bad thing, in their opinion, but ultimately it's how it makes you feel, I think. But
so I'm going to do a quick little plug before we go into the episode, and that is your submissions to us can be sent to us from podcast@heroeshearth.com. Disclaimer, I didn't do very well at promoting to get them this week because of the work travel. So we don't have very many.
You had a crazy busy weekend. Yeah.
And the weekend is going to revisit itself when we hit the story time segment of the podcast, which is after the main topic.
Mm-hmm.
I have a doozy of a story for you, and I cannot wait to hear what you and the chat room have to say about this one, because man, I did not know what to do.
Oh, I'm ready. When you amp it up like this, I'm so ready.
It is I mean, this one's kind of putting it out on the limb a little bit with the world of telling stories, mainly just because we've been aiming to do the more upbeat, positive stories. This one is more, I need to talk about this so it gets out of my head kind of thing.
Okay.
So before we do that, we are going to get into the main topic of the week. Are you ready, sir?
I am so ready. My body is ready.
Let's do it.
It's time for the topic of the week.
It is time. So, Coffee, you are the one who will be kind of initiating this whole discussion today.
Sure.
What is it about you that makes people go, wow, that's different?
I'll start it off with a little bit about me, and that I I haven't had a ton of girlfriends. You know, I'm married to a beautiful, beautiful woman, and she's been my wife of 4+ years now. And before that, we were together 5 years or so. And then before that, I had a few girlfriends before. But one of the things that would always come up is that I don't know what it is, but I cry often, and I cry a lot. And it's a weird thing because I don't have any control over it. It could be a song on the radio. It could be a movie. It could just be like the inflection that someone, you know, uses when they say something to me. It's just very odd. It's one of those things that I can't control. And I can remember when I was in high school, going on a first date, and it wasn't even a romantic movie, you guys. Like not even remotely close. The movie was V for Vendetta.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Not even a romantic movie. And the film ends, and this girl just looks over at me, and I'm crying, you know, visibly. Like, not only was I crying, but there was dried spots from when I was crying earlier in the film. And it's just like, I realized that it was off-putting, but I had forgotten that she was kind of right next to me because I was just enjoying this film. And she looked over and looked at me, and I immediately just tried to, you know.
Oh, no.
And I never went on another date with her again. So she was so off put by that.
Oh, that breaks my heart so much.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, you know, it's okay. Everything happens for a reason. She wasn't the one, right? But I realized that that's something that can make people feel uncomfortable a lot. And you know, my dad, he's not a crier. I think I've only ever seen him cry once in his whole life. And sometimes I remember growing up as a kid, when I would cry, he didn't really know what to do with me either when I was crying. And then the women I've met in my life that I've been, you know, romantic with, they don't know what to do with it. The first person that has really kind of accepted my emotional sensitivity is my wife, and I just feel so safe. And you know, I don't get nervous about crying in front of her. She just accepts that as part of who I am, and she realizes that it's just is part of me. It's not something that I'm doing intentionally or have any control over, and she just appreciates me, and it's just something that's very special between us, and I appreciate that in her too. So
I have so much to say about this.
Okay.
My goodness, because what I wish that I understand 100% how isolating that can feel, especially as a man, because it is it's the unspoken rule that men aren't supposed to cry, and most of the times it's a spoken rule to say, you know, man up and don't show emotion and don't get all wussy and worse than that. And I swear I can't, like, I have been in that position of like not knowing what to do when I saw a man crying because it was just so foreign to me.
Right.
But as I've gotten older, I appreciate so much more that there are men out there who can be connected to their emotions so much that it can be, you know, in an involuntary thing. Like, you are actually just free to express yourself. And I got to ask you, with the work that you do in acting, that's got to be a superpower, right?
It's very easy to cry on command on a set. I've only had to do it a couple of times, you know, because people think that acting is about crying, and it's not. Acting is about trying not to cry, actually, most of the time. But there's only been 2 times on a set where they've, you know, a director has said, it's time for you to cry. This is it. You need to cry now. And it wasn't really an issue because I have a wide range of things to pull from that get me to that place regardless. And but I 100% agree with you on it's not a common thing for men to accept that. I have some friends of mine with children, sons, and I've often heard them say, boys don't cry. Don't. What are you crying for? Stop crying. Boys don't cry. Yeah. And as sad as that makes me, it's not a place where I feel comfortable stepping in and telling him how to speak to his son. That's totally not my place.
Yeah, that is such a heartbreaking thing to see, and I've read countless stories of just the cultural push that we've given for men. And so, it just makes me love you more, because I am grateful that you can, number one, talk about it, and then also share that is something that has made you different and feel like you are alone. Because God damn it, that shouldn't be the case for any man. And I'm just gonna soapbox that right now, boom, and say that should not be the case for any man.
I'll back you 110%.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be the case.
It just so and finding your wife is the perfect example of the acceptance factor and being comfortable being yourself.
Yep. And she gets the same way too. I mean, there's times where, we'll just be talking and she feels things so big, like me, and it's just different emotions, different feelings. So she can get the same way, and I don't freak out, because she's crying. This is an emotion she's having, and she's not embarrassed that she's crying about something. I mean, she can cry. She cries about anything she wants, and I just embrace her, and it's not something that she should be ashamed of. It's just something that she feels, and I think any emotion that anyone feels at any time is never wrong. I don't think there are wrong emotions. I think they're just feelings. You can't look inside of yourself and say, no, I shouldn't be feeling this way, because you are. And so
yes.
Yeah.
I think our biggest challenge is we are rightfully entitled to feel everything that we feel. It's how we handle it and how we express that emotion and channel it is going to be, just that hits home so hard right now, because I mean, I've freely expressed this before, and I will do that on this podcast, because there's a lot of people who don't know, is that I'm a huge proponent of therapy. I 100% will tell, I've been telling people for years, like, therapy is a good thing. It's a great thing. It's a thing that needs to happen if you are having struggles and pain and stress and all of those things, grief, and so I am in therapy, and my therapist is incredible, and she's like one of the few people who actually truly sees me without judgment and fault, and just and that whole ability to just resolve those problems and those thoughts and those feelings and the things that have happened to you in your past that have shaped your future, your present.
Yeah.
Incredible. Incredible. And sometimes it makes me feel like I'm a little bit of an anomaly, because I'm just like, hey, I'm in therapy, and sometimes I talk about what I've talked about in therapy, because there's always a challenge for me. Not a challenge. It's more of a, like, I want to push myself to be more open so that people will not feel alone.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of the core of this whole discussion.
The whole point of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I 100% agree. I mean, I've done therapy myself. My best friend is in therapy now, and my wife has her master's degree in counseling. It's something I think that is so important, just to be able to, it's a release. You get something off your shoulders, or just convey, just even to just tell someone a story, which was even more about what this whole podcast is about. But just to be able to interact and communicate with someone on that level is so valuable. And I hope that more and more, as this world shapes itself, it's a world where people are not afraid to talk about going to therapy.
Yes. And so, if you're listening to this show, it's the first time here, welcome, and be prepared, because we will do that a lot, is to talk about therapy. Because I mean, if anything, it's coming from me, because I'm going to bring it up a lot for certain topics and things like that. Something that makes me different, makes me
What about you?
people say, wow, that's different. And I have like several of them. So I'll start with the more, I guess, innocuous one, but it's the more like sometimes hot button one, is that okay, here we go. I don't like children. I don't like children. I never ever wanted to have children. I was never someone who was just like, I don't hold babies, because babies actually freak me out because I'm afraid to drop them.
Yeah.
And and it is very tough as a woman to be the person who says, I don't like kids, and they go either what, or oh, you'll feel differently when it's time for you to have them. Well, hi, I've been married and divorced.
And that's so easy for someone to say, right, to you about your feelings.
Yes.
It's like,
my parents have been amazing. My parents are awesome. I told them like pretty much right off the bat, I'm like, mom and dad, when I got married, I'm like, you're not gonna have grandchildren from me. You'd have to wait for my sister. And they were like, okay. And so they got it. They knew that the cats in my life were gonna be their grandcats. That was gonna be about it. But and over the time, like, in the chat room, like, there's a number of women who have just
people are speaking up right now. I love it.
Yes, and I now don't feel alone. I mean, I haven't felt alone in that for years, but for a long time I felt like there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
That's not good. And I'm sorry I cut you off before, but you were going into in your past relationships, was this a topic of conversation?
Yes, like like every time I would ever get into a relationship, it would pretty much be a clear, hey guys, like, hey man, I like you very much. Just know that I'm not going to have children with you ever. If we ever got to that point, I don't want kids. I never want kids. I don't like kids. I don't want grandkids. Like, I don't want that. And I sound very vehement about it, because the truth is that my ex-husband had a daughter, and so I went into the relationship knowing that I didn't want to be a mom, and I married a man who had a child, and that was something that I wish that I hadn't done, for the respect of, because I tried my hardest to make it work, and it wasn't because of the child that the marriage ended. It was very much not that, but it was definitely difficult for me. And I realized after the whole thing ended, I was like, yeah, dating for me right now is like nigh impossible, because most men at my age group have either had children and have children,
they either want kids or they have a kid at some point.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And so I'm like, no kids. And
yeah,
so I do feel like kind of a weirdo for that.
I can totally understand that, and I mean I can't begin to understand like what it is to be a woman and how that's an expectation of a woman, but I can definitely understand how that's very overwhelming, and that makes you feel very different.
It does.
I'm coming from the flip side. I'm a man, but I do really want kids, very badly. But I respect anyone that doesn't, and it's not even people that don't like kids. It's not a thing where I'm like, how could you not like kids? They're beautiful angels, and no, they're not. They're gross. They're disgusting and awful. But there's a part of me that recognizes how beautiful that is, to bring a life into this world. I mean, as troubled as our world may be, I respect the beauty of what that means. But I'm never the type of person that will go, how dare you for not wanting kids? My goodness.
Yeah. I've had people say that to me, actually.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, like, what kind of monster are you that you wouldn't want to raise a child? And my response to that is, what kind of monster are you for wanting me to raise a child that I don't want?
Right.
Just like, I mean, that is, I've seen the aftermath of people who had children that didn't want them, and it's not a good situation at all. And I mean, listeners, you've probably seen it too. And it is better now than it was, say, like, even like my parents' generation, maybe a little bit further back, in terms of like, you're expected to have kids whether you wanted them or not. Like that, those are the people that never got divorced, and they hated each other and stayed in these marriages that were horrible and had a bunch of kids, and then and yeah, it just like, I just can't.
Yeah. No.
And Lauren says Uber drivers always want to lecture me on marriage and child rearing.
Oh
yeah,
God.
Everybody's a critic. And I've had that happen too. Like, you're not married? You're not married? No, I'm not married.
Can we go off on a tangent here for a second? I would prefer if the Uber driver just did not speak to me as soon as I got in the car. I know that sounds mean, but it's like 9 times out of 10, I've got like some piece of work that I have to do during that drive, and the whole reason I'm having him drive and not driving myself is because I need to get something done. And I feel very rude if I'm ignoring the Uber driver starting to strike up a conversation. And
I can't agree with you more.
Thank you. And half the time he wants to talk about something just completely ridiculous, like how a Morin should be married and have children, or how I need to invest in some form of software, and it's going to become the future, or something like. It's just absolutely ridiculous nonsense that I wish I could tone it out. Jeez Louise. Okay,
oh
sorry.
yeah, most of the time it's like, they want to know like where you're going, where you're coming from.
Yep.
And that kind of thing. And it's just like, that's nice conversation. I always get into these major conversations of someone's life story. This happened to me at BlizzCon, not last year. The guy like told me stories of like how his wife cheated and all this stuff, and I'm going,
oh my God.
I don't know if I have one of those faces or what, but this happens to me. It happened to me yesterday at the airport.
Oh,
and
God.
I'm like, oh my God. Like, people will like just dump their life story on me, and I'm going, I did not ask to hear about your kid and that your mom like dressed him up like Superman and stuff. Like, I didn't ask what you're telling me. So,
oh boy.
Yeah, this tangent confirmed as valid.
Okay.
and very relevant. I love it.
My God. I'm seriously wondering, and people that I let in on this little secret of mine, that I just do not like talking to Uber drivers. They agree. They say, oh yeah, I feel the same way. And I've talked to so many people that feel the same way at this point, that are there actual, like, how does the Uber driver think that this person wants to talk to him anyway? Or is it just kind of a thing where it's for the Uber driver mostly, right?
Yes.
Is this for him to pass his time? Is that what it is?
Yes, and actually, so my coworker Brian, who I went to Atlanta with, said that he actually had an Uber driver who got mad. Who said he expressed to Brian on a ride, I get mad when people don't want to talk, because like, who wants to sit in an Uber and not talk? And I'm like, hi, hello,
Yeah.
and he's like, hi, hello, and the thing about it is that person could not comprehend that someone would just want to sit there and zone out and not talk.
Oh my God, that's all I want to do. Ever.
I know.
Jeez. Okay. All right. Well, we've explored that
a
little bit.
It's time for you to hit up another what makes you different.
Okay. Well, I have a really great one right here. From a tremendous top tier high end rock star in the Coffee Club organization. Mm-hmm. Midnight Society says, when I think of this question, I immediately think of my photography. For a long time, I thought, what can I do in the photography scene that people will like? I didn't find myself until I realized I wanted to make art and not a living out of it. I shoot unusual and weird imagery because I like it. And in turn, everyone else saw the real me with differences in the photography community that make me unique. I also think about my appearance. Depending on where you are, colored hair, Stretched ears, piercings, and tattoos is the norm, but where I'm from, in the Bible Belt, it is not. I still get the looks, scoffs, and backhanded questions. Joke's on them. I love how I look, and I still enjoy standing out. The compliments outweigh the judgment.
Mm-hmm.
I love you so much, Midnight. Oh my goodness. You're amazing.
I did too. And I hope that we all can get to that level of self-confidence and understanding to be able to just be like, hey, that this is who I am and I'm comfortable with who I am. And so many of us are not, like, so many of us are not there yet or feel like we can't ever get there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a damn shame.
Yep.
Because that's what makes us unique and different and not this homogenized world. That's what kind of I loved about going to Atlanta was that it was this really diverse, like,
oh yeah,
all different people from like everybody. Like, I was sitting there just kind of fascinated by all the different walks of life that I encountered, and it was just literally like, restaurants and airport and stuff.
Yeah.
So
such a wide spectrum, I bet. Probably pretty wild. Atlanta's a hub too, I think, even in the airport. I think that's like a connecting area for flights too. So one of the things I love doing in an airport is just people watching. I'll sit at a restaurant or something just with a glass of wine and just kind of relax and just watch the people go back and forth. And it's just so fascinating. I love people.
I overheard some weirdo conversations in this trip, like, two different couples fighting about different stuff in different scenarios where I was just like, ooh, this does not sound good. This does not sound good at all.
Okay.
And it was stuff I couldn't avoid. Like last night, standing in line to get on the airplane, the couple behind me, it was clear that there was some jealousy going on from the boyfriend, and she was not having it. And so she made some veiled, like, oh yeah, maybe I should just go hang out with Jim because he likes me better. And it was like, oh geez, like, and they were like right behind me, so they're in my ear, and I'm just like, oh, I can't avoid this. Can't block this out. So,
jeez.
So anyway, let's have you. Do you have another one that you?
I have another one. Yeah, this one's a little less personal, but it's something that came up today in conversation with someone I work with, and I want to get this off my chest. And that is that I really do not like Las Vegas. It's like my least favorite place in the world. I don't know. It just feels dirty there. This probably isn't necessarily something that's about me that makes me different, but everyone I work with seems to love Las Vegas, and everyone I talk to in LA loves Las Vegas, and they go to Las Vegas for Thanksgiving, and they go to Las Vegas for holidays. It's so weird because it's it's relatively close.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I don't enjoy gambling. I don't like anything. This might be something that makes me a little different, is that I don't enjoy any games involving luck. So things like board games, off the table for me. I'm so sorry. I know everyone loves board games. I hate board games. I can't play Monopoly or Life or anything that involves rolling a die or things like that. I just can't stand board games.
Yeah. So D&D is off the table for you too?
D&D is a little different because in D&D I get to role play. I do have a D&D campaign that I'm running with my cousin right now, and we're having fun. I play a dwarf sorcerer or with wild magic, and we're having a lot of fun with that. But that's a little different, just because I feel like I don't consider it a board game. I guess that's a little different. Card games
that's
too.
Fine. I just wanted to clarify because it has a die, and
You're right.
There's
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
I've actually never played D&D though, so I don't really understand.
Okay. Maybe that's something that makes. Yeah, I mean, my first time playing D&D was this past year. Actually, we played it at a family gathering, and I got super into my dwarf wizard, whatever he is, with wild magic. But I'm a fan of that, and I guess I don't take that seriously enough. I think we're just having fun and being characters. Yeah. It's almost like we're telling a story together, which is different to me than playing a card game. Oh man, Don't get me started on card games. My family just loves to play card games at every family gathering. Emma's family likes to play board games at every family gathering, and I just feel like such a party pooper when I turn it down. But I know deep within my soul that I'm not going to have fun, and my negativity is going to bring everyone else involved down, when they're playing the game. So I just don't want to be a part of it. But I mean, that's one of the reasons I don't like Vegas, though, is because I don't like gambling to begin with. And then everything other than the gambling is just dirty and raunchy and smelly, and I don't like it. So.
I've actually enjoyed Vegas in the past, and as I've gotten older, it's lost its luster. Mainly, because I do enjoy gambling games, but at a very low level, super low level. But it's the cigarette smoke. I think Amoran said that the cigarette smoke is the killer. I can't do it anymore. It gives me migraines. So
wow.
Yeah, so if Vegas got rid of the cigarette stuff, which they will never do, then there might be a shot of me wanting to go back again.
Okay.
But I actually went there several times I haven't been there in 6 years now, but it's been I went there a group of times, and there's a thing about Vegas for me that was super exciting to be there in the first couple days, and then you run out of the ability to handle it after about day 3.
Okay.
And I'll explain more about that in my next one of why it makes me different, because for me it's super amplified intense that I'm so over it I need to leave.
Yeah.
So
okay.
And so I get you. I totally understand you, and I should say this, and I think this goes for both of us. Even if we don't like something or it makes us different in that way, where we're we totally respect if you love it. We totally respect if you're down with it.
This isn't about
going to Vegas.
This is all very inclusive. In fact, I hope that you guys will share the things that are different about you, or that I will think is different about you. But and one of the cool things about this is as we're talking, people are saying they are the same way, and this is one of the things I didn't know people felt the same way about board games and card. Kag says she also hates board games and card games, so I don't feel as bad as I did 20 minutes ago right now. So I hope that everyone finds that sort of same thing here during this process.
It's so true. I love poker. I've played poker for years. I'm pretty good at it. I don't like board games either. I'm not a board game person, and I've gotten so we're kindred spirits in that. If someone pulls out the board games, I'm kind of oh no, because here's what happens with me in board games. If it has more than 5 instructions, my brain goes bloop.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
You know what that is? It's that feeling of I have zero clue.
Your
what you
brain's
just read to
working at 110% day in and day out, right?
Yep.
Why would you? Okay, I mean, that's just how I feel. You're gonna read these directions for 20 minutes. You're gonna read these directions for 20 minutes to maybe have a reasonable time, or could we just talk and have a conversation with one another? Jesus.
Yeah. Because I had some friends that came into town over 4th of July, and we went over the Fantasy Flight Games is here in the area that I live in. They make a lot of different board games, and they have this huge area in there. They have a gaming space where you can go.
Oh, wow.
And I don't remember the game that they were trying to teach me, but the instructions were so complex that I'm okay, just so you know, I heard about 5 things you said, and the rest of it I don't even. What are these things in front of me? What are these little peggy things?
Yeah.
What's the disc got to do? I'm getting stressed out.
It's a lot.
Can I have a beer? That's all I want to do right now is have a beer.
Please pass the beer. I'm getting anxiety just thinking about it. I mean, I will say there's there's exceptions to every rule, I think. And for me, the middle ground here is something where do you ever play the Cranium games?
Yes, those are fun.
I feel like those can be fun sometimes because you're drawing something, and there's less luck involved in drawing something that's part of your skill or something, and then you can act out something. There's the charades mechanic, or there's sculptor, where you can make something out of Play-Doh and show it to somebody, and then I forget what the rest of it is. One of them is just like factual knowledge too, and I think that's kind of cool because it's not lucky that this person knows that fact. He knows that fact. He or she knows that fact because she studied something and knows that fact, I guess. So
yeah. Actually, my favorite one of those styles of games is Balderdash, which you basically make up a bogus, like they give you a statement of some sort and you make up a bogus answer to it, and then the person has to guess whether yours is the right answer or not. Because I've had some hysterical games of that, like where you're crying laughing. So I guess that would be the only one that I really enjoy doing. But like even Cards Against Humanity gets old for me after
I've
a
only
while.
played that one time, and I thought it was pretty fun. But then the luck comes into play with like you're guessing what the other person will think is funny. You know what I mean? And I'm not that way. I just do whatever I think is funny. And what I realized is that the people around me were intentionally organizing the cards in a way that they thought, because they thought one specific person would think that was funny. So yeah,
I mean, like it though.
It's all right.
I mean, I like that you're being honest about it.
Oh yeah,
being
sure.
Like,
I mean, I could probably find a fault in every single board game that ever existed. And the other thing is my wife, like, I think she's begun to accept that, okay, it's just not happening. He's not gonna just change and begin enjoying board games. But sometimes she takes it upon herself to search for that, like, unicorn board game that's just going to suck me in and I'm going to become obsessed with it. And while I appreciate and value that she wants to do that because she wants to include me and share this fun with me, even just the like trying that new board game just upsets me. Just trying the new board game, it's hard to explain. But I just have a deep dislike.
I get you. I see you, because it's that feeling of like, I've already told you I don't like this stuff. Why am I continuing to try to like this stuff?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that negative towards Emma. It's just like the feeling of like, and there's, okay, this is another psychological side of this for the nerds out there. You also don't want to get to the point where you're just like, I have said all my life that I don't like board games. I've said this all my life. It is a part of me. It's an identity of me. And if I all of a sudden start liking a board game, then all of a sudden everything I've said before is a lie.
Exactly right.
You're nodding. Look at you.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a part of me feels that way. And the other part of me feels like one of the things I pride myself in, that I really value, is that I like to try new things and I like to keep an open mind. But sometimes it's very hard. Sometimes that's very tough to do.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to board games.
So, where do Jackbox games fall in the realm of like if you were to do that with viewers on your stream?
I've never done it with viewers on my stream. I've done it with other streamers, and I didn't particularly enjoy my time playing it with the streamer. It's kind of just a board game that you play on the computer, essentially. Fair. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, people have asked me if I would do it on my stream. If enough people really wanted to do it, I'd probably do it, just because I will try everything at least once, right? But yeah, I guess I consider those board games too. If I had to really draw the line, they're on the other side of it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I like this. This confession is accepted.
Okay.
And
it's funny how we got here by me not liking Vegas. Like, it's just a landslide of things here to the ultimate confession, right? It's just, wow, what a day.
This is the beauty of this show, is that you can have some prepared content, but it is going to go where it goes, and that's the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah,
it is.
And you're digging deep, and I love it. I love it.
I love it too. This is like I said, this is my favorite thing to do in life. It's just to talk about the stuff that makes us tick.
Yeah.
And so I'll share one of the things that makes me tick, which is definitely something that people go, well, that's different.
Okay, I'm excited.
This is hard for me to explain in words, and so I'm going to do my best with it, so just bear with me. So I am someone who is what they call in the world of whatever psychology, what's called a highly sensitive person. And that's not like, oh, you're so sensitive. It's like, no, I feel things on a level that can sometimes just be crushingly overwhelming. And I feel it from other people. So I guess if you're anything in metaphysical, in the metaphysical world, I'm an empath. So if Coffee is in the room with me and he is showing some very heavy amount of emotion, like he's super sad or he's super angry,
or like we just watched V for Vendetta or something like that.
Yeah, like I feel what he is feeling. That is what makes, and it's, I haven't quite yet even figured out how and what, but I just like, I figured it out based off of my father, actually, because my dad and we've always had a very strong, like that kind of connection where like I think about him or talk about him and he calls. It just, that kind of thing happens with my dad. And I used to realize that I would be, my moods and things would change based off of what was happening at the house. So my dad had this thing where he was super, wanted to be on time all the time. Like you had to be on time, early on time. And he would get super anxious, and I felt myself just getting so anxious and so like wound up, like physical anxiety, like sweating and ugh. And I realized it like several years ago when we had gone on this trip on a bus trip, and we were running late and my dad was freaking out, and I was like, I'm feeling what he's feeling. I am physically embodying what he's feeling right now, and it's making me nuts. And it explained us so much about like why sometimes I just get like my mood changes for no reason if I'm around a bunch of people, and I'm like, why am I feeling like this? This isn't me. Like I have no reason to feel like this. There's no like logical reason. And so I was like, I started doing a bunch of reading, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I guess I'm an empath. I feel what other people are feeling. And so Vegas, as we went back to earlier, is this heightened amount of like excitement and
anxiety,
all those things, anxiety and emotion, and like, you know, people are drunk and their thoughts are wild and unencumbered, and you know, after a while I'm just like so that's what makes me different. It's also what my throwback again to my therapist. She's like, well, that's your superpower. That's what makes you good at what you do. And that's what makes you good at connecting with people, is because you can read them, you can feel them, you can, and some people are very closed off, and I can't sense what's going on with them. But like I told Coffee this, like when I first met him, because he's so open with his emotions, and I literally felt this just overwhelming love and you know, friendship coming off of him, that it was just like, bring it in, honey. Like, bring it in, sister. And it was so after BlizzCon gets done, it takes me about a week and a half to fully recover, because it's such a heightened emotion sense.
Yeah, so, I mean, but what a beautiful thing to be able to feel what someone else feels and connect on a level that most people have never even dreamed about, because they don't know that exists. But what an incredible
It's a blessing
feeling.
And a curse.
Yeah.
Funerals are devastatingly hard for me. Yeah, like just imagine that level of being able to sense things and then have it be overwhelmingly, like having it be crushing grief, or just broken sadness. And so
wow,
that's actually something I'm still at this point working on to try to manage, because it's a lot to process. And now that I work from home and I don't have a lot of interaction with people every day in a physical sense, that it's when I do get around a bunch of people after a while, you know, it's just like, I need time to recover.
Yeah, you're probably even more sensitive to it now that you're not exposed to at least a person or two every day. Wow.
Yeah, I call it, like, you know, therapists called it the superpower, and I was like, yeah, it's just it is very beneficial. Like I if I get a gut sense about somebody and I'm like, oh, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good, I'm like running the other direction right away. And then people are like, man, I just that person. And I'm like, yeah, I was gone before they even came around the corner because it was not good. Yeah.
I'm out of there.
So, and it's kind of hard for me to talk about it because it's like I can't quantify it. I can tell you this and you can believe me or you cannot believe me. It's just a matter of just like I can't really prove it. I can't. You could probably witness it on me if you spent enough time around me. But it's not a quantifiable thing that you can just say, oh, I see it, like I measure it.
Well, it kind of just goes back to what we were talking about earlier and how a feeling is a feeling and there's no right or wrong. If you feel something, it's true, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's just I get the added bonus of deciding if it's my feeling about it or if it's like I'm sensing somebody else's feelings on it.
Right.
Yep. So
yeah, so that is wild.
It's kind of trippy. I have a lot actually, and that is also something that makes me different is that I've had a lot of like weirdo metaphysical stuff that's happened to me in my life I cannot explain. And so it's just it is what it is. I've just kind of accepted that it is part of my life. And yeah, I've actually told some of those stories on different podcasts over the years, but it's it's weird. It's just weird stuff. So yeah, I mean
we should get into it. Let's tell us one story.
Okay, I can tell you one story.
One story. All right,
one story. So all of my life I have been in situations where people have just come up to me and said, do I know you? And they don't. There's no reason possible that they would know me. This has happened to me at different hair colors, different physical weights, at different ages. I've been in a city for 2 hours and someone goes, do I know you? And I just said, no, I'm sorry, I don't know you. Or, and that kind of thing. It happens to me all the time. And it was happening like a large amount of time at a certain period where I was living in Madison, Wisconsin. And at the time, and this is years back, I was listening to the radio. And if you remember those morning talk shows on the radio, a lot of times they would have segments like psychics that would come on to the radio and do a little segment, and then they'd plug their stuff, right? So there was a psychic that was on the show that I was listening to, and they said, this psychic is going to be at the Wisconsin or the Dane County Fair, which is the where I was living, the county I was living in Wisconsin. And I happened to be going to the Dane County Fair that year. So I said, you know what? I really want to know why this happens. Why? So I wait in line for this guy for probably an hour. And in the whole time I'm thinking about, this is the question I want to ask him.
Yeah.
I shit you not. I sit down across from this man. He's bald, kind of like all just like young, kind of shaved head bald. He looks at me. He goes, do I know you? And I said, oh my God. And I've never met this man in my life. And I just looked at him and I said, no, but I would like to know why you said that, because that's why I'm here.
Ooh.
And he said, he just looked at me for a moment and he said, you have medium-like tendencies where you will channel people who are familiar to someone else, or that they, you will be kind of remind them of that person. They can see that person in you.
Gotcha. And
you don't control this. It just happens. And that's why this happens to you. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Why does this keep happening to me? And why are these weirdos, like, are these ghosts that are coming into my body? And he didn't give me any other advice than that. It was like, because he only got like 10 minutes with the guy.
Right.
So many
you have
people.
to get out because there's so many people waiting for him.
Yes. And so I was just like, okay. So to this day, this happens to me all over. Doesn't matter where I am. It can also explain why people tell me their life story at the airport. And so, yeah, it just is. It is what it is. It's just a part of me.
Are you sure they're not just coming up to you and being like, you look an awful lot like Jules Scott? Are you Jules Scott?
No. That has happened to me, but very rarely. Because my footprint is quite small, but apparently, the psychic thing, if that's what I am in some way,
maybe
crosses
your
all
footprint
boundaries.
is larger than you know with your metaphysicality.
Yeah. So it is a strange thing that happens to me. It's I here I am telling a large chat room about this, but I have quite a few of those weirdo stories that have happened, and it just they'll continue to happen.
Well,
so.
the good thing for us, and here's where we're very lucky, is that we have many more episodes ahead of us to tap in and pry and see if we can get more of those stories out of you. So
Yeah, I mean, like I said, these things are like unprovable. I can just tell you what happened, and that it's and I believe that there's other stuff out there that I don't understand. I do believe in it. It just there you go. So maybe we want to make this a future topic for the show because the chat room is very much into these stories.
I think we get a
lot
of people that are interested. Yeah.
So
maybe we file this one away for. I love it. This is awesome.
Yeah. So that is something else that very much makes me different, but it's very difficult to like have that conversation with somebody and not be like, oh, that's freaky, or
because they'll look at you and be like, I'm gonna sit over here or something like that. Because the other thing, there's two sides of this is that are they here's where someone can be nervous. Either they don't believe you and they're put off by you, or they do believe you and maybe they don't necessarily want you tapping into whatever emotional sense they're in at that time. Do you know what I mean? It's very personal.
Yeah.
That's a very personal thing.
And honestly, I don't want anything to do with someone's private feelings about stuff, but to me, sometimes it's like a megaphone. It's literally like it's coming off of them like a megaphone, and I cannot avoid it. And so that is, and honestly, that will lead into our story time later today too. We've tied everything back so nicely, and we're gonna tie it back again.
My story kind of ties into something as well. Ties into Vegas.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. So, Shy Hardy says, I can tell what gender the baby is if you're pregnant, and I can also tell your temperature by placing my wrist on your forehead, and no, I've never been wrong. It's not a choice. You're a huge ass antenna. That's how I feel. That is how I feel. So I'm hopeful that someday my path may cross with someone who understands this stuff better than me, like more than the little bit I know, and kind of can teach me stuff because I'm just like, I don't know what to do sometimes. And so I will often, like, if I go into mega introvert mode, it's literally just like I cannot handle taking in any more emotional information. So yeah. So these are some things that make us unique. Did you have, that was pretty much everything I had as like prepared for the show.
That's all I had.
Did you have other?
No, that's all I had prepared as well. And yeah. Just I think it's just very special that everyone is different, and that's part of why humans are so interesting. It's because they all have something very specific, at least one thing, usually millions of tiny little specific things that make them different, and that's why people are so cool. So even if you guys didn't get in a letter to tell us about what others would consider makes you different, we still want to hear from you. If just listening to us talk about it sparked something inside of you, maybe you want to share something, send us your feedback. podcast@HeroesHearth.com.
That is going to be, I want to hear your stories about the stuff we've talked about today. Maybe we'll even read them on the show next week before we get into the next topic.
That's a great idea.
We don't know what it's going to be yet.
We don't, not
we
yet.
don't know what it's going to be.
Not yet.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. We'll figure it out. All right. So then I think it is bringing us to story time.
Yeah.
Which is, this is the Tell Me a Story segment, and it goes a little like this.
Hey, Coffee, tell me a story.
Oh, I'll tell you a story.
Hi. That gives me shivers, dude, because it's like you just right in there. You right in there.
I love this microphone. I'm obsessed with this microphone. I
kind of am too.
Yeah, I feel I haven't even like tweaked it to its fullest potential yet. Okay, so this story just ties into what I was talking about earlier. This was several years ago when I was in Vegas with my wife and my best friend, and we were seeing a Heroes of the Storm tournament. This was before HGC. I don't recall what they called it at the time. It was called something like Fall Championship or something like that, but it was in Vegas, and the hotel that everyone said to stay at, or where all of the Blizzard people were staying, was the Flamingo, or that's what it was recommended.
I've stayed there.
Okay, so we decided to pick our friend up at LAX very late at night, and then we drove just straight there. We drove like 4.5 hours to Vegas. We finally get there, and there's this massive line going out the door just to check in. And I thought, how could this be possible? Can't you do this on your smartphone or something? I get up to the front to ask, and their computer system is entirely shut down. Completely shut down.
Oh, no.
They've lost everyone's reservations. It's just an absolute mess. Oh, no. So after spending those 4 hours in the car, we spent another I think this was Western Regionals, maybe, yeah. After spending the 4 hours in the car, then we spent an additional 2.5 hours in this line in the lobby of the Flamingo just to check in. And this is where I really learned about how awful Vegas was, because the couple in front of me was discussing some adultery possibly happening that evening, with a woman, and how it was okay because, they're in Vegas and they're safe there and it doesn't matter and things like that. And 2 hours in line, I have to stand behind these people. Anyway, when we finally get up to the front, they said what I already knew, that they had lost my reservation. And then they tried to charge me extra because I didn't specify that we would need 2 separate beds instead of just like the one queen or whatever. So this woman, her name was Brenda, by the way. Brenda, and she was from Texas. I know this because I asked her. I wanted to know who she was, where she was from, and why she was talking to me this way. But she got all upset with me. Freaking Brenda from Texas. She told me that she was going to charge me more for the room, even though I just waited 2.5 hours in this line. So I got so upset. I've never been this upset before in my life. I was shaking. I was so upset. And I riled up the crowd behind me because they were starting to get quite angry as well. They'd also been waiting in the same exact line. And I kept saying something like, "You're going to charge me more after I waited in this line?" I turn around. I'm like, do you guys believe this? Do you understand what she's trying to do? And I started, "This is Brenda. This is Brenda from Texas." And the crowd was getting fired up. Finally, this manager comes over and just tells Brenda to just give him whatever he wants. Just give him, don't charge him anything. Just give him a room. So yes. Brenda gave me the Zebra room, which is apparently some kind of top tier, high quality suite. And this room ended up being absolutely ridiculous. But at the time, I didn't know what the Zebra room was, right? When she said, "Okay, we're going to be giving you the Zebra room," I was like, "I don't know what that is, but I'm upset, Brenda. I'm so upset with you, Brenda. I'm very mad."
Wow.
And I didn't know what the Zebra room was. So,
and I don't know what it is now, so you have to tell me.
I mean, I have a whole video I took of this room that I'll share it with you sometime. Actually, I'll throw the video up in the Discord like after this is over. But
yes, please.
We finally get up to the Zebra Room, and it's like just some penthouse suite. I mean, it probably was something like $10,000 a night for this suite, and we got it for the normal like regular room cost. But they lost everyone's reservations. Anyway, that was the last time I ever went to Vegas. While the Zebra Room was amazing, I never want to see Brenda ever again. I never want to stand behind those two people in that line ever again. And it was just, I don't want to go back to Vegas. I don't want to go there. I'm done with it.
All right. We have seen a side of Coffee tonight that I don't know if we have seen, which is the I'm not going to stand for your shit, Brenda side of Coffee.
It's something about, it was her name too. It's like, it was all of this. And then on top of it, her name was Brenda. And it just upset me very much.
Well, I hope that Brenda, wherever she is now, because it's probably been 3 years now.
It's been some time now, and Brenda, if you're listening, I actually do really apologize for how I acted. That was childish, and you did give me the nicest room in the entire hotel, but I just thought I would share our story, Brenda.
Oh man, wherever she is right now, I hope she's giving Zebra Rooms away to
everyone, because everyone needs
men
it.
named Coffee.
Yeah.
Well,
nice men named Coffee. Oh, Brenda. Bless
for Brenda. Okay, so this happened to me last night as I was coming home from Atlanta. I had gone there. I work for as a contractor for E-League, which is one of the big esports corporations, and I was there as part of the E-League podcast to watch the Rocket League Cup, which was very fun, very interesting. But our flights didn't head out until like 9-10 o'clock at night because we were hopefully going to be there, to see the whole thing, and it wound up getting done by like 6. So lots of time to kill. Anyway, get to the gate, and the plane is late coming in, so that means that we're gotta wait for everybody to get off the plane. And so I'm noticing that this is a very slow boarding flight. It is people not getting their bags on, very long line waiting to go find your seat. And so I get into my seat. I am in an exit row that is not like your normal exit row, but it had an aisle behind me where the door was. So my seat would not recline, and I lost a couple inches on the side because there's this little bump out.
Oh
so
my
my seat's pretty tight, and I'm not a small girl, so I'm feeling a little crunched in the seat. It's a 3-seat row in there.
I bet you Brenda's behind this.
Oh, I wish. And as we're already getting late past the departure time, last of the passengers are coming on, and there is a man that is down the aisle, one of the last ones to board, and he is making a scene, probably about 10 rows ahead of me. He's a big guy, muscled up, tattoos on arms and legs, and he is not a happy camper. And he walks over. He's trying to find a space for his bag, and there's no spaces available. So he walks past, starts yelling at the flight attendant, finds a place for his bag, walks up to the aisle, and goes, "I'm in the middle." And so the lady who was on the aisle got up, and he strong arms his bag that he was holding into the seat like a sidearm strong arm, throws it on the seat in rage, and it smacks me in the leg. And I mean, hard. It hit me hard. And I was just like, I was stunned. I was like, what the hell? This guy is mad. And he sits down in the seat, and he is just, every action is just rage.
Oh boy.
Now let's go back to the conversation that we had earlier, where I am a radar to this kind of
and you're just absorbing all of this rage.
And he is right next to me. I am on the window. And so he is right next to me. And so he is seething, Coffee. Like, I have not seen someone this angry in a long time, and I have no idea why he's so mad.
Oh my gosh.
So he buckles himself in, and then we like pull back. It was like that quick. And he they start the little flight attendant thing where they're talking about the flight and everything. We're very pleased to have you on this flight. He goes, yeah, right. And so a flight attendant walks up and stands in the aisle and just looks at him. And she very sternly looks at him and she's like, we're not going to have a problem here, right?
Oh,
and
boy.
He just starts getting defensive. And I am terrified. I am now terrified because I am sitting next to this man who is muscled up, angry, smells like alcohol.
Oh,
and
boy.
I have no idea what is going to happen. And so I am freaking out, trying my best to just breathe and not freak because I can't go anywhere and I don't want to do anything to upset this guy. So he, kind of takes the tray table, slams it down for the poor woman in front of him. Like she turns, like her head turned, like, what the hell? And so I was like, oh my God, please just let this go by fast.
Please just fall asleep or something.
Yeah, or something. He realizes that we are in an exit row and his seat can't recline.
Oh, man.
He starts freaking out. And I am like, oh my God. And the lady next to him kind of like, puts her hand up for the flight attendant. She's like right there. And she comes over, explains it. He's like,
oh God.
And I just like, oh. And she stood her ground and she was like, I'm sorry, sir. I know you're upset. I'm apologizing to you, but this has to stop. And I get this tap on my shoulder, like back here. Flight attendant had walked behind me because the exit row was behind me. And she looks over to me and she mouths, are you okay?
Aww.
Now I'm looking back at her and he is like leaned forward with his head in his hands on his tray. So he can't see. And I'm like, I don't know. And so she says, we can move you. And I just said, no, because I do not want to move this guy and I do not want to cause any more issue.
Right.
And I was just so I spent 2 hours.
Because you're worried, like, what
this.
happens if they move him and he feels like you have a problem with him, and this guy's feeling very aggressive, and who knows?
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't want to move him. I don't want to disturb him. I do not want the attention to be pointed at me. And so I was doing everything in my power to just kind of block it out, like block out the emotion, just block it. And so we got done with the flight and he's like, he wants out of his seat to get his bag. And he gets up and the lady on the aisle was the first time we actually looked at each other. And she just gave me this look like, oh my God. And I did the same thing. And I just mouthed to her, are you okay? And she said, yeah. And I got off that plane and my body started that's when I started to feel it. That's when I started to react and I started shaking and I started like just vibrating.
Wow.
Because I was just like, oh my gosh. And so I got to talk about this on the show just to get it out of my system because I've literally absorbed all of that rage from this man who I don't know why he was so mad in the first place. But like that was when I was talking earlier about how do you control yourself and how you control your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's so interesting
God,
that this story is coming right after a moment where I told a story about a time when I had uncontrollable anger, and I normally never get that way, but I respect that in this story you're telling, I was that guy at that moment. So it's like I feel, even telling the story back right now, my story, I feel terrible about it because of how I'm understanding how you felt here at this moment. Like that's just terrible.
I mean, I know you, and you wouldn't have terrified me by your reaction. I just, if I had seen that, I would have been like, wow, that's kind of out of character for him. But
well, none of those people around me knew, and while like the crowd was getting very upset with me, Brenda didn't know who I was. She probably thought I was some drunk, but just hearing the way you feel about that moment or how you felt just makes me so sad. Makes me feel so bad.
I mean, I don't think your approach to things would have made people feel like you were going to threaten physical violence. This man, his size and his appearance of just the muscles and the fact that he was he was wearing shorts and a t-shirt flying to Minneapolis where it was 29 degrees outside.
Right.
And we were in Atlanta, which was around 55 degrees. It still wasn't shorts and t-shirt weather. And so
part of it is just like his stature and his size and just his presence was part of this whole
and the way
problem.
he was carrying himself. Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was this very like, I do not know this person and I do not know what they're capable of. And he gives me the impression that he could hurt me if I said the wrong thing.
Oh, God.
And that is terrifying.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I did not sleep very well last night, even though I was crazy exhausted, just because it was in my head and it's been in my head all day. And so I'm hoping that just talking about it on this show is kind of like releasing that energy will give me some rest from it.
I hope it does too.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like in the previous weeks, our like palate cleanser stories have been kind of uplifting and stuff. But the world's not always that uplifting place. Sometimes stressful things happen and they're high anxiety situations, and I think it's important to end with things like that sometimes, especially if it involves you getting that off your chest and feeling better.
Yeah, I needed to do that for sure. And the other thing I needed to share too is that I sent Delta a thank you for the flight attendants that gave me the comfort of knowing that they had my back if anything were to go wrong. And I took the time to send that in, and it made me feel better about it. Like I wanted to compliment these women who knew that there were two women that were between this man who were not with him, and they were very intimidated. And so that's what I did to make myself feel better. And the other one is to tell it on the show. So
well, you did it.
I already do feel better.
You did it.
So those are our stories. This is going to be a little bit of a longer show, but that's okay because I like it. I like it. We can make this show as long as we want it to be.
We can. It's the Jules and Coffee 48 hours. Minimum. However long we want.
And I solemnly declare at this point that our story time can be whatever we need it to be for whatever we need from our lives then. Is it to unburden ourselves? Is it to give positivity? Is it to provide with thoughts and feelings? Yes, we do it all. The only thing that we've kind of drawn the line of is we're not going to get on it to bitch. Like it's not going to be our, our let's bitch about the atrocities of the world. We're not going to do that. But
anything we say will be something that is hopefully constructive and a little bit self-reflective because, we're not necessarily complaining about it. We're just letting it out, expressing it to you guys, and hopefully a not necessarily a positive spin, but a constructive way of looking at it. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Jules and Coffee Hour. We hope you've enjoyed this time by the fire, and it means that we get to play this lovely music that I have
love
on my
this
soundboard
music.
that
I love it.
I'm looking for it, and here it is.
Want to contact the show? You can email us at podcast@heroeshearth.com. And if you want to connect with us on Twitter, you can find me at Coffee Club_TV and Jules at JulesRPG. You can also use those handles to follow our personal streams on Twitch to be notified when we go live.
You can also join us for the live broadcast, which is at twitch.tv/coffeeclub_TV on Mondays at 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, or you can find us in podcast form on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, and all of your other places for podcasts.
If you like this show and would like to support the great entertainment brought to you by Heroes Hearth, please consider supporting them on Patreon at patreon.com/HeroesHearth.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Chat room, you guys are the real MVPs. I gotta tell you what, this chat room is on fire today, Coffee.
I know. These people are absolutely beautiful. I love all these humans, all the hosts, all the love. You guys are amazing. I love you guys so, so much.
Tell your friends about this show, please, and let them know that we're here and part of the community. We want you to contribute any way you feel like you want to. And then I guess we'll be back next week. It's going to be another episode of the Jules and Coffee Hour, topic to be determined. So, Coffee, until next time, see you later.
Until next time. Woo! We did it!
We did it!
We got a podcast recorded in the books.
Y'all, chat room, thank you guys so much for being like, you are one of the most engaged chat rooms of any show that I do, and it makes me so happy, like for real makes me so happy. So thank you so much. I'm gonna stop my recording here.
Yeah, so for anyone that hasn't tuned in till the end before, typically we'll do the live recording, and then we'll say our closing remarks, and then we'll wind it down, and that's just all for the podcast form. That's what's going to go on Google Play and Spotify and iTunes, and then we have a nice little post-show discussion right here, just kind of chat with you, and thank you guys so much. And it's so hard because we want the audio to be crisp and perfect during the recording, and then you guys are just throwing in all this energy and love and these hosts and these subs, and it's just madness, and we just want to thank you so much during the recording, but we try to save that till after the show just to keep it very pure. And I can't thank you guys enough. That was amazing. There's so much love going on throughout the recording this week. You guys are amazing. Yuna, the host, amazing. The sub, all the emotes being thrown around. You guys, you are some beautiful, beautiful humans. We love you so much.
Yes, Yuna, thank you so much for the massive host. Just like the love and the expectations of just this. Yeah, like I feel so good after this show and after that. And I know Coffee has something to do this evening too, but we will normally do a little bit of a post show afterwards where we kind of talk about the stuff that we didn't maybe tuck in there. Please tell your friends about it. The lovely YouTube VOD will go up on Wednesday, I think. Yes, probably Wednesday.
Yep.
And then the podcast form will go up tomorrow, unless I'm ambitious to get it done tonight.
Shinobi knows exactly where I'm going. I'm going to trivia.
Trivia.
Should be awesome.
Is she going to?
She is going to, yeah.
Yes. Yep. So, yes. So this was... yeah, and Dark Monkey says this felt like therapy. Most of my shows are like this. Most of my shows are like this, where it feels like therapy.
That's such amazing feedback. That's incredible.
Yeah, and that is my most favorite thing about podcasting is the connection with the people that we can do like this. So
yeah, this whole world, I can't say it enough. I just feel so lucky that you've brought me along for this journey, Jules, because this kind of thing is just pure magic. Just being able to express ourselves and connect with one another this closely and deeply every week. It's just complete bonkers, and I never even knew this existed or was possible. So
it's my ultimate pleasure, because I never knew how much I enjoyed telling stories until doing this. And the idea was not something I had just hung on to and been like, hey, I want to do a podcast. I mean, I have some of those dreams, but this was the thing that came together, and it was like, I didn't know I would enjoy that side of it so much, and it works so well. Is it little Petrelli cats kicking around the green screen in the back?
Right. The cool thing about this, by the way, is that my wife got home like towards the end of the podcast, and I was checking the mic to see if it went up at all, and it never did. So I
never heard her.
She came home, let Petrelli out, and Petrelli's been just running like around like a damn like lunatic, eating the green screen, doing all the craziness, but it's like it's not getting picked up in the mic, which is just amazing. It's incredible.
Yes, and that is the number one thing I wanted to have for you for this microphone.
Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this mic. I love it so much.
I never knew Emma came home. I never heard her. I never heard it. She never came out.
There was one moment during the podcast where Hangouts went off, and it's because I can't figure out how. It's one little sound. I can't figure out because it's an extension in Chrome, and I have the Excel sheet open in Chrome. Oh. But I will figure it out. There was one moment where something went off.
And it doesn't get picked up on the podcast form, so that's fine.
Oh, that's great.
Because I don't hear it.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's anything that you're feeding through. I mean, if we did some funky stuff where you're, I can feed you audio through my other computer, that kind of thing can be done.
Oh, that's great then. If that's not getting picked up on the podcast at all, it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, if you did Barb, You're Fired in a podcast on the stream would probably go bonkers, and your face would do that.
And then I'd go. But yeah, when something went off, like I played it so cool. I think only one person noticed. So.
It was Atria, and I'm like, somebody got a notification on his computer.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were like cucumber cool. It was awesome.
Yep.
Oh, Midnight's got you.
She's got me covered. Thank goodness. What would I do without this woman? Midnight, thank you so much for sharing your story too. That story meant a lot to us and helped drive a lot of the rest of the conversation. It was beautiful. Thank you, Midnight.
And Midnight and Shy, thank you for validating that I am not crazy and that you understand me, because yes, I need that. Not everybody gets it. They don't understand, and they kind of think I'm a little nutto, but it is what it is.
I think we all need a little bit of that sometimes. So we appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Oh, this is my favorite show right now. I'm just having so much fun.
This is my favorite thing to do as well. I look forward to Mondays every Monday now. Yeah, I wish I didn't have to take off so soon, you guys, but I do have to cut this one short. We're gonna be heading down to Orange County. Gonna hop in the car and go for a drive.
Sounds like a plan, and then we'll be back next week. If you guys have a topic suggestion, please do email us. Otherwise, we will brainstorm like we have and come up with something cool.
Yep.
But yeah, we're always down for thoughts and things about what you guys are thinking about.
Let us know anything. Let us know if you had any anything to add about something that makes you feel different, or something that someone else views makes them view you as different. We'd love to get more feedback on that. And then, of course, as always, if you have any ideas for topics, or when we release our new our next week's show topic, please also email us regarding that. Again, it's podcast@heroeshearth.com.
Yes, I'm going to be a pain in the ass and start tweeting it more often too about
Me too.
Your submissions. So we'll just keep doing that. So.
Right.
Yes. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. We will see you next week, but you'll see Coffee sooner on his stream since you are here.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. I love you all. Have a wonderful evening. Good night. Good night, everyone.